Hi, I'm Heather from Going Batty, and today we are going to continue on in our basics series that we have been doing. I know it has been like a hot minute since I've done one of these videos, but we had my mom come into town and my son go out of town, and then Thanksgiving happened. So there has been a kind of a lot going on, but this is the next part in our series, which is we went through mixing. Now we're going through baking. This one we're going to talk about the things, like the basic things that you need to bake. You know, like I already talked about, like measuring cups, whisks, measuring spoons, and things like that. So this kind of builds on that. So this is the things that you put it in after you get done mixing. So we're gonna start with what I feel like are just the bare bones basics that you need. The first one is like an 8x8 square pan. This is good for casseroles, for dips, for cakes, for brownies, things like that. The other one that I feel like you need, and especially for me, because my family is larger, is a 9x13. Again, casseroles, cakes, all sorts of things like that. You can roast in this if you need to. It's a really good pan to have. Now, one thing that I don't actually have is I don't have a round cake pan. I did have one. I just feel like I'm not one that wants to make layered cakes. Just for me, like, I don't find that fun. I find them slightly temperamental. I've done it before. I've had round cake pans, but those are ones that I don't use as often. So if we're going for just the basics of it, I would use like a 9x13 pan, because you can, bake your cake in here, you can leave it in here, you can frost it, you can put a lid on it, and then you can take it somewhere. With this, I do like the glass ones. I feel like they cook better. You can see if it's browned on the bottom, but I learned a very important lesson last Thanksgiving. With these and with any glass dish, you cannot go extreme temperatures with these. So never take one of these. So what happened to me is I made green bean casserole in one of these. I had two 9x13 pans, and I went and set it on the counter, and I didn't look, and there had been water on the counter. Well, when you do that, it's an extreme temperature with glass, and this thing shattered into a million pieces. So you don't want to do that. So you can choose whether you want like an aluminum one of these, or if you want a glass one. You can get them where they're nonstick. I don't prefer the nonstick. I feel like it's just much easier to grease this and flour this, when you're doing a cake or something like that, or spray, cooking spray in it. For me, the nonstick, it pulls off. The next thing that I have is my cooling racks. Now, this is my favorite cooling rack. I like it because it's got the little grids on it. This is great for cookies. Great for cookies. Okay for cakes, but if you're doing, like I said, a round cake where you're flipping it out, these little grids might be too close for you, and the top of your cake will stick to this. If you're going to do cakes, this is probably a better one to have with the looser grid on it. But if you do cookies on this, you have to be careful, because if your cookies are soft, they'll fall through the grid here. Like I said, I prefer this one. And this one is great too, because it also has legs on it. If you can see that, legs on it. So if you're cooling something, air can go under it and above it, and so it tends to cool a little faster. All right, the next thing I have, and this is where I'll show you like the nonstick turns not nonstick. And you're gonna have to forgive me, because these pans are used almost every day. They're well loved, and they look it. So, and I've tried cleaning them, I've tried scrubbing them, I've tried all that, and it just, it is what it is. This is my muffin tin right here. This is good for muffins, cupcakes. You can do, like, if you're doing like the keto diet, you can do like those egg, like mini omelet type things in this. This one I've had forever. I don't even know how old this is, but it looks like it's old. But this one was nonstick at one time, and now everything sticks in it. So I have to make sure that I use cupcake liners. And even on the top, as I've scrubbed and scrubbed and scrubbed, I can't get this off, but I have to be careful not to overfill because they'll stick up here too. But this is good. So like if you're doing like a birthday party for kids, like you want to do cupcakes, maybe not so much the great big layer cake and stuff like that. It's just easier for them to handle. But yeah, so a muffin tin is another one that I would say to have. Now you don't need the mini muffin tin. I had one of those, found it completely useless. Like I used it like once every 4 years. The other one that I had was a mini bundt cake thing. And that one, again, I only used it like once every year, every 2 years or something like that. And I just find like this is just way more easy to use. The next thing that I have, and I'm going to show you two of these, and I'm going to show you why I like one better than the other, is a cookie sheet or a sheet cake pan. This here. This one is the one that I don't like because I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of warped. And this is one that you would just pick up at like Walmart or something like that. It's thin. I don't care for it. I keep it around just because sometimes I need an extra pan, but when I bake in this, nothing turns out kind of right because it shifts. The stuff moves down and it just like, I did a pumpkin roll cake in this and it didn't fill the whole pan because of the way that it especially warps even more once it's in the oven. Now the one that I love is this one here. Now this I believe is a half sheet cake. This is a full one. Now this one I believe I think I got this at Roll King, but you can get, if you have a restaurant supply place around you, like a Gordon Foods, and I think even like Costco and Sam's Club sell these kind, and they're not much more than these. I would invest in this one here because it is much thicker. It doesn't warp when it goes into the oven. I've had this one probably for, gosh, 6 years maybe, and it's still going strong. I love it. It is one of the best sheet pans I've ever had, but if you can get a restaurant grade one, I believe this one maybe was like $10. This one here was $15, so it wasn't a whole lot more, but I love this one. I love this one because I can bake cookies on it, and I only have to maybe do for my family 1 or 2 batches on here, where the other one I have to do like 3 or 4. So, but I love this. What are you doing, dog? Sorry. Okay, the other thing that I would suggest, and you can use it with, well, you can use it with everything here, is parchment paper. Parchment paper there, wait, there, yes. Parchment paper, it was upside down, sorry. This is wonderful because you can roll it out on your cookie sheet, put your cookies on it, and they won't stick. You can make your own, muffin papers if you run out of muffin papers with parchment paper. With parchment paper, you can take your cookies, pull the parchment paper right off the pan and slide it onto your baking sheet, and especially one like this where it has the wider grates, and that way it won't fall down in it. You can put it inside your baking pans, and so things will pull out easier. I used it when I made pumpkin roll cake. I put it on the cookie sheet, and that way I could just pull the pumpkin roll cake up, flip it over, and then peel the back of it off. You use it when you're making cakes to make sure that it doesn't, the bottom of the cake doesn't stick in the pan. So this is probably the thing that I use the most out of all of these is the parchment paper. I have one more thing that I forgot, a bread pan. These are great for bread. This is good for like your, if you're doing like yeast bread, if you're doing quick breads, like if you wanted to do like just a cinnamon bread or something like that, that's more like a muffin, or banana bread. That's one. Zucchini bread, that's another one that's good in these. And like I said, if you're making your own sandwich bread, this is great. Meatloaves, if you're into meatloaf, which my family is really not, this is a good one to have. So this is a pretty versatile pan too. Now I have this size, and then I have one that's twice this size. And I like them both If you're making a yeast bread recipe, you're gonna need 2 of these, like this size here. That's why I have the one that is just one big one, because my family will eat that much bread. But 1 is just not enough if you're making and they usually sell them in packs of 2. So that's one of the other ones that I think is an important basic that you need. We are going to now use some of the stuff that we bake with and make the world's easiest cookies to make ever. So I make these cookies when I feel like, my kids have done really great and they need a treat, or we have a potluck at church and I totally forgot to make something. Like, you cannot get easier than these cookies. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna take our parchment paper and we're going to put it on our cookie sheet here. I measure it out, cut it off, and then, hold on a second. What I do is I flip it upside down so it doesn't curl, the paper doesn't curl up. So there you go. Makes cleanup so much easier. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're going to take a box of cake mix. I'm doing chocolate. You can use whatever flavor you want. I've done these strawberry, I've done these vanilla, I've done just, whatever. You're gonna dump that in your bowl. Oops. And then I always keep the box here just so that I can stick like my eggshells and stuff like that in it, and then I throw it away. You're gonna have 2 eggs, and these are from our chickens. 1. 2. And then we're gonna take a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. So here's our measuring cups that we had before. There we go. And that's it. That's all that goes in that. All right, I am going to use my stand mixer for this, but you can mix this by hand. You can mix it with a little hand mixer, that would do fine. So we're gonna mix these up until it becomes like a cookie dough. What I'm gonna do now is, it's mostly mixed up. I'm gonna do the rest of it by hand just to make sure everything gets incorporated in here, and this is where your spatula comes in handy. It's kind of the thickness of brownie batter is kind of what it is. So what we're gonna do, now that everything is pretty much mixed in, you don't want any lumps in it, is we're going to put it in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes. Now we can bake these right away if you want to, but the reason that I put them in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes is because we're gonna make crinkle cookies, which means we're gonna take these, we're gonna roll them in powdered sugar, and then we're gonna put them on our cookie sheet. It's just easier to do when the dough is just slightly stiffer than what it is right now. But when I scoop out my cookies, you want them to be all the same size. And I found the best way to do that is with one of these here. I like this one here, and like, I can't tell you where I got this. I actually think that my grandmother got this for me years ago before I married Kevin. So this is probably 18, 20 years old. And so, but I like it because I am left-handed. And the nice thing about this is that it doesn't have the lever, because all the ice cream scoop levers are made for right-handed people. And this one, it's right here at the handle. So all you have to do is squeeze it. So that's why I like this one, but you don't need one of these. You can do it with just like a teaspoon, like a regular teaspoon, and just scrape them off onto the paper, or roll them in your hands and put them in the powdered sugar. We are going to start with just scooping this out, and we're going to roll these into a ball and put them in our powdered sugar here, and then just place them just like that. We are going to take these, we're going to put them in a 350 degree oven. We're going to bake them for about 8 to 10 minutes, just depending how, sometimes it takes longer. It just depends on your altitude and how your oven heats and stuff like that. So we're going to bake these. We like them kind of soft, so I'm not going to bake them like to where they're crunchy. So we're going to pop these in the oven. So our cookies are done. We're gonna let these sit on the pan for about 5 minutes. You don't wanna move them just yet because they're still they're kind of baking on the bottom still. So you're just gonna wanna keep them on the pan for right now. I'm gonna take the cookies off. So that is our basics in baking and the world's easiest cookies to make. Now with these, you can put chocolate chips in them. You can use a golden cake mix and actually make chocolate chip cookies. I've done like triple chocolate cookies with these where I've done milk chocolate and dark chocolate in these. So, and they're super good. So here we go, cheers. Jamie.
Oh yeah.
They're chewy, they're chocolatey. The baking mix has everything in it you need in it, like your leavening, your cocoa powder, your sugar, your salt, your flour, things like that. So
it measures it into the box, so you don't have to. You can get down to this a lot quicker.
yes. So
Oh, good.
well, that is the basics video on baking and what you need. Make sure, I don't know, you leave any comments that you had down below, and
Maybe you know an easier recipe. Share it down in the comments below.
That is super easy to make.
It's really easy though.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of ways that you could take this to make it more fun too.
Mm-hmm.
You could ice them.
Mm-hmm.
You could put sprinkles on them. But man, they're really good the way they are. So
they're just kind of like a little, almost like a brownie cookie right now.
don't forget to check us out on Patreon. There's more stuff there. Thanks for watching, you guys.
More updates as we go.
More updates as we go.
Bye.
Oh yeah. That's money right there.
That's good.